Hey, my name's James Nicholson and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now in this video, I want to talk about why 80% of landlords are increasing their rent on their tenants this year, what that means for tenants, what that means for inflation, and why, as a landlord, I don't actually think this is good news at all. So let's make sure we jump into this. Before we do though, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification if you haven't done already. And do smash the like button, guys. We're on target for 100,000 views this month, which will be absolutely crazy. And you can do your bit by smashing the like button because that gets us more eyeballs on the content. So, rents are going up. That is obvious. Now, why is this happening? Well, really, rents are going up purely because of inflation. That's where it starts. So inflation, unless you've lived under a rock, has been at around 10% for a while. We've got it coming down now, but the UK is doing a really bad job at bringing down their inflation. We're at 7.9%. America is at 3%. European countries are at 5%. So we're really lagging behind here massively with dealing with this inflation. Now, the Bank of England are trying to counter inflation by putting up interest rates. They've done that 14 times in a row now. But here's something that's interesting, is one of the things that we monitor for inflation is rent. Now, we don't cover housing costs, so we don't talk about mortgages, council tax and those things, which have been going up really in a lot of areas. I live just outside Croydon and I saw Croydon, I think it was more than 15% their council tax went up or something crazy. We fortunately are under Reigate and Banstead, so we didn't have that, but it was insane. I can't imagine how frustrated those people must be. So rent does figure in inflation figures. And so by increasing interest rates to try and bring down demand, landlords have to put rents up or they will lose their property. Then the tenant would lose that property anyway. So you're kind of pushing up inflation doing this. And it's not great. I know in the comments I'm going to get absolutely clobbered by people saying, well, landlords are greedy. That's not the case. So let's look at why are landlords increasing their rents at the moment. It's not just because of inflation. So there's a few things that are going on. One that's really hit landlords, and that's just come really full force now, is something called Section 24. And so that means that landlords cannot offset mortgage payments against their tax bill. No other business can you not do that. So let's just say my girlfriend, my partner, Katie, she has a baking business. So she sells a box of brownies for around £15. But she doesn't pay tax on that £15. She pays tax after she's taken out ingredients, postage, marketing, website hosting, and all of these sorts of things. And she pays tax just on the profit from that business. That's how standard business works. Landlords, though, if you get £1,000 of rent, you pay tax on that £1,000. Now, you could now be losing money, which is why a lot of landlords are leaving the market. So Section 24 is a big impact on why rents are going up. The next is landlord exodus. So now landlords are just leaving. There are tons of landlords. In fact, 30% of landlords have left the market. They've left the market because of Section 24, because of interest rates going up, and because of the EPC threat on having to spend tens of thousands of pounds on trying to make your property more energy efficient. So they're leaving in absolute droves, and that is a big, big problem. Less properties to rent mean rents will be pushed even higher. So that's not good news. So what is the average rent at the moment? Well, the average rent at the moment is shockingly high. This is across the whole of the UK. It's £1,243, which is absolutely crazy high. So how much has that gone up this year? Well, in the rolling year to July, rents have gone up more than inflation. They've gone up 10.3%. Now, I don't think this is good for landlords or tenants alike because, one, this contributes to inflation. So what happens then? They turn the interest rates up a little bit more. Then the landlords have to pass that cost onto onto their tenants. So that doesn't help. The other problem is that if you're a landlord, you might feel, well, yeah, my costs have gone up, so I'll pass that on to my tenant. But your problem is that your tenant will get to a point where they just can't afford the rent. That's a real problem that we've got. And this is just going to price out so many people that are on the lower wage scale. How can you physically afford £1,243? Is absolutely insane. What else is going on? Well, London rents obviously are going to be the highest. So in London, the rent on average is £2,109. Remember, people paying that after their take-home pay. Their take-home pay. This is bonkers. 24 grand a year after tax is a lot of money, is a hell of a lot of money. And so London properties are really crazy. And one of the other standout places as well is Scotland. In Scotland, rents have gone up on average, remember, so some places are way more than this, 15.8%. 15.8%. And so this isn't helping. So the government needs to look at some solutions to this stuff because rents are going to need to keep rising. If you keep cranking these interest rates up as it's expected to happen at least one more time, those costs are going to significantly impact landlords. The landlord will have two options then: pass this cost on to the tenant or quit and sell the property. If you sell the property, that then takes out stock from that rental market. And that's another big problem that we've got. Anywhere that we rent one of our properties at the moment, the demand is absolutely through the roof. I've never seen anything like this in the time that I've been a landlord. Back in 5 years ago, if I rented a property, some of them would just, even we're talking 1-bedroom flats here, would sit around for weeks. You'd get a couple of viewings here, a couple of viewings there. No one had a real sense of urgency to take those properties. Now, when we put a property on, we'll get 25 people inquire in a day. And then it's a bun fight to get that property. People offering you 6 months worth of rent, people offering to pay more rent to secure that stuff. And that's not great. Now, as a landlord, yeah, you get the opportunity to pick the best tenant. But I also do see the point that some people, if they haven't got a good credit file and all of these sort of things, are really going to struggle to even rent a property. And this isn't going to be good for the UK economy in the long run. And so what I always say to landlords is, if you don't have a mortgage and you can afford not to put the rent up, then you've got a good tenant, look after them. But do creep it up, because otherwise you could get in a problem in the future where you're not allowed to put your rent up by a certain amount of percent, and that could also backfire on you there. But maybe don't go up by 10%, maybe go up by 2% or something like that. So what do you think about this? Record high rents, crazy rent rises, especially in Scotland, 15%. It really, I don't think is sustainable. I don't think it's a long-term thing. I don't know what needs to happen here, but it needs to become more affordable for the landlord to rent the property out, that's for sure. Another thing is, we need more property, right? So Michael Gove's talking about putting more properties in central areas like London, giving permission, building that so it's not on Greenbelt. Great, get on with it, because if you do that, that will make much more of a stable market. Anyway, that's my thoughts on this. It's a shocker here. Do like the video, that helps us get more eyeballs on the content. Do check out all the other content on my channel, including this video right here.